Hi, welcome to part 67 of two of, of the top 10 games of this last generation. No, actually, these are the honourable mentions. So, Stefan, what is your... I've got 3 honourable mentions, but what's yours?
Sorry, I had 7, but we talked about The Witness already. When I looked at my honourable mentions, I was basically like, I thought my top 10 was kind of quite mainstream, conventional to a certain extent. So my honourable mentions, I wanted to highlight a few games that were a bit more offbeat. But one of them, when we talk about Tales from the Borderlands, I very, very, very nearly included Life is Strange in my top 10.
Oh.
Now, I remember you not getting on with it.
No.
Yeah. And I remember he was in a kind of a bad place at the time.
I was not in a good place at the time. No, and yeah, I get why people like that game, but I was like just trying to wreck it, and I wanted to see something come out of what I was doing.
Yeah.
It didn't. It just kind of kept on trying to course correct me, and I'm like, no, I want to see this burn. Let me burn everything. And it was just like, no, let's all make things good again. I'm like, no.
But if you tried to, like the Telltale games are the exact same. You can't make everything crash and burn in those, can you?
No, you can't. And I don't know if it was just purely because of the time travel mechanic. I think that's
why you should be able to do more with it.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. I mean, there's the horrible bit where she can't walk when she's in the wheelchair.
Oh God, yeah.
And
Chloe.
It's like I was on that level where I'm like, let me see it burn. That's where my brain was going.
That's heartbreaking.
I know, and it's awful, but I'm like, these are the things I want to see from Life is Strange. I want to. If I've got the power to change time, let me change time. Let me change it. Let me see it. Let me cause havoc, and then let me fix it. And I think that's where my brain was with it. Because at the end, spoilers, with the tornado, I went for the tornado. I just thought, fuck all these people. And then it just went, oh well, I've got my lesbian girlfriend now. La da 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 da. And that was it. That was literally it. I was like, well, let me fix it.
You picked the ending, which makes no sense with the story.
No. I just, honestly, and partially I think it's where I was. But partially I was like, if you've given me this time travel mechanic, can we go back before that, where I broke it, to fix it? To course correct what I've done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think sometimes with it supposed to be like choice driven, it kind of undermines itself in a way, because I think the message of the story is you might think you want to go back and change things in your past, but actually it's not a good idea, and in your head you might think this could play out amazingly, but when you actually see what would happen, you'd actually regret it or change your mind. And I think the whole point about it is even if you had time travel powers, you would probably decide not to use them.
Oh, you would, yeah. But then,
I think that's what the story is about. But you're like, oh, fuck everything.
You're like when that bloke with the dog, I shot the dog. I'm like, fuck it, shoot the dog. And everyone's like, why did you shoot the dog? I'm like, you can fix it. Nah, let it die. Fuck it. And then I shot him in the leg as well. I shot him in the leg and killed the dog. Because I literally was like, what is the thing I can fix from this? Now I've done this, how can I fix it? And the guy was still friendly towards me, even though I'd shot him in the leg and killed his dog. So I was like, well... Okay. Yeah, and I think that's where I go with games nowadays, where I'm like, if I break this, can you do something to me to make me feel bad because I was a dick? And life is...
I mean, there's an exciting thing about games where you break the bounds of what's expected normal behavior, and if a game will go with you in that's thrilling. But you're just like, oh yeah, all right, it's willing to play ball with me, And
that's what I wanted from it, and it didn't give it.
I agree, it doesn't really do that, but
Yeah.
I really like the characters and the story, and it reminded me a lot of Steins Gate, an anime, which I really
Yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah. I've never watched it,
Uh,
but I know of Steins Gate.
I mean, it's almost like a similar thing where it's about like a guy who fancies himself as a bit as like a mad scientist, and he basically accidentally creates a time travel machine.
Was this with a microwave?
Yes, with a microwave. Uh, the idea for the microwave is so stupid. The idea is you could text your microwave to tell it to turn on, which would be utterly useless because like you're not going to be there for the microwave. So like, it's just like all his inventions, the events are like utterly worthless and useless, or make no sense. But he accidentally stumbles onto like a time travel device, and the story is basically he starts changing things because he thinks he's going to help his friends out by going, "Oh, this bad thing happened in your life. We can send a message back to the past to manipulate time so that never happens." But then that all goes down the road of unintended consequences, and the second half of the series is kind of him trying to undo everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And the machinations of how all that plays out is just really interesting. So Life is Strange had that kind of vibe for me, and I was like really along for the ride on that.
Yeah, I get why people genuinely like it. I do. It's just, like I say, I was in a weird place when I played it, and I was like, yeah, I just want to see what you can do. Show me what you can do. And it never really bounced back hard enough for what I was trying to put it through. And I was like, nah, it doesn't work for me. Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah, this is the one that's technically not a game, but it is a game. PT.
Playable teaser. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I guess it's a game. It's just not.
It's a weird moment of time that Konami wants to wipe off the face of the planet. You know.
Yeah. It's really funny when PS5 came out. One of the first things people were trying to do was to get PT working on it. It's stuck in. It's a good choice because it's stuck in people's minds.
It's terrifying, and I don't think anything has ever terrified me like that since.
Because I played Resident Evil 7, and if you remember, Resident Evil 7 did a demo where it was almost trying to like replicate PT.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 7 is not PT.
No, and it shouldn't be. That's the thing. It's like
I don't think it's necessarily trying to be, but I get the feeling that they're almost trying to like piggyback on the sort of like the attention PT was getting. They go, oh, we're making Resident Evil 7, which is it's first person and it's in a creepy place. Do you want to like check us out?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing really like PT.
No, absolutely. And I remember playing it, and I had to pass it to Kirsty to finish. I couldn't do it. I was such a pussy. Could not do it. I was terrified of it. Terrified.
There's only a few games where like I've been genuinely too terrified to play, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Like I played Alien Isolation, which scared the crap out of me, but I still played it.
Yeah, but PT.
But, PT. I still haven't seen the end of PT.
I managed it.
I couldn't do it. I mean, it's quite obscure to figure it out anyway. But like, I was just so on edge trying to play it. Like,
did I ever tell you about when I got Carl to play it?
I don't, maybe, but I don't remember.
So one of the things you have to do, you have to talk to the ghost, and the ghost is called Lisa. So he got the headset on, and he's like, "You're right, Lisa, love," and it actually attacked him. It just got him. Just got him. I was like, that's what you get for talking like that. You're not from Yorkshire. We went, "You're right, Lisa, love." I fucking lynched him. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing with PT I love about it is like how many people have just looked into the demo and found more and more weird things in it. So like there's a part like you'll see like the light kind of like shudder like that, but she's literally behind you. She's actually behind you. And it's something they've actually done and put in, like just have her behind you. And if you turn around, she's always there, like behind you, but never in front. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird stuff. And there's an entire like debate whether or not the game was about Kojima saying he knew he was going to get sacked, which is fascinating when you look into it. Because he says at the
Yeah.
end, like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I will come back, and I'm gonna bring my new toys with me." And it's basically Kojima saying, "I know I'm gonna get sacked, but I'm gonna go somewhere else, and I will be coming back."
I do know for like the last 6 months of development for Metal Gear Solid 5, he was locked in a room on his own and he wasn't
Yeah,
allowed to interact with his team.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he knew it was coming. Yeah,
Yeah, I think PT was his last fuck you to the company.
yeah.
Because like also the other weird thing is like when you go through the corridor with all the eyeballs on the walls, and also as well with the lights when they change from green to blue to red. I've got a so I'm just trying to look what colours they are. Basically, those colours.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's basically him saying like, every time you go around it,
PlayStation.
it's
Yeah.
PlayStation colours. Yeah, there's so much to going off, like like what that game's about. But that's I would love to see Kojima just be allowed to make a horror game, a true horror game.
There's rumors going around, and they almost sound too good to be true. To be
So
honest,
many years we've heard it.
no. There's a strong rumor that Sony are gonna do a Team Silent Hill game and also Kojima Silent Hill game. They're gonna do two.
Mm.
So it's like original Team Silent and Kojima doing his own, like essentially what he was gonna do with Silent Hills. It's like a rumor that keeps coming up. I want to believe it. It almost sounds like too good. If you were like a fanboy writing like rumors, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, Team Silent are going to come back and make Silent Hill great again," and Kojima is going to get to do his project he never got to do. It sounds almost too good.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, the thing is, like, Silent Hill has almost been kind of fiddled with a lot now to the point where it's like
I don't think it's irredeemable, but I think they can bring it back
they can
because
bring it back,
I think a
but
lot of people never bothered with the later entries.
this is the weird thing. I remember playing Homecoming and just being like, Americans have ruined it. I remember I was literally the
Oh my
first thing that,
god.
yeah,
Japan went, "Oh, we don't know what to do with this generation. Let's just give it all to Western devs and see what they can do."
yeah. And the thing is, right, and this is a weird link back to her story on that. Sambalo, he did one of the Silent Hill games.
Okay.
What was the one on the Wii called? Shattered Memories?
Yeah.
He did that. And that actually apparently was quite well received, but it's like, it wasn't a Silent Hill game. It was a good horror game, but it wasn't Silent Hill. It wasn't Silent Hill. It was something else. It sounds so dumb because I played enough Silent Hills, but you just like think, why are you making everything turn into ice cubes? That's weird. Don't do that. I know you're trying something new, but it's not scary. It's just weird. It's not terrifying. Unlike having a fucking
Silent Hill 2, where they had an ending where like there was a dog in a control room.
or the UFOs showing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Silent Hill. Right, I remember playing Silent Hill 2 and loving it, and then playing that HD remaster. And it's like, God, what have you done?
Yeah.
What
Oh, I
have
was
you
so
done?
excited about that because I'm not really playing much of the Silent Hill game, so I was like, "Oh, I can catch up with this
Yeah.
HD bit." And then I saw the end results. I'm not going to because it's
two,
all.
two, 2 and 4 are my favorite Silent Hill games.
Ah.
2 and 4.
Which one's 4?
Four is called The Room, and I'm sure that's Kojima looking at that and thinking I could make PT from that because The Room is.
Okay.
I thought The Room was genuinely terrifying sometimes.
Okay.
Because you keep waking up in your bedroom, and you have it's like a flat, and every time you wake up, something's just slightly changed,
Yeah.
and the door's locked up with like padlocks, and every time you wake up, something just ever so slightly weird's happening. Like there'll be a shadow on the wall of a baby, or there'll be like a floating head outside the window that just flies away, or it's just weird shit every time you wake up, or there's blood coming out of a painting. You know, it's just weird
Yeah.
things every time that's just ever so slightly off. And it's like, I'm sure Kojima looked at that and went, I'm going to make that as PT. The problem is with The Room, it doesn't buy too much into that idea and it keeps going back to third person nonsense.
Yeah, that's sort of, we have to be a conventional game at some point.
And it's
Yeah.
like, no, the scary stuff is not that. It's all this stuff in here. Because you have to start putting candles down to exercise the room.
Okay.
And you only have so many candles. And there's one bit where a fetus comes through the wall and starts to like clamber out, and it's like, what the fuck, candle? Just put it down to get rid. Yeah, it's just terrifying shit that just keeps happening. Yeah, 2 and 4 were my favourites. But yeah. What's your next one?
Debating which one to say. So I'm gonna go with Hades and Transistor.
Interesting. I remember. Right, Transistor. I always get to the same point and I stop. Every time. I've done it 3 times and I get like to the same point and I stop. Don't know why.
I love Transistor.
Oh, it's a cracking game. Absolutely cracking game.
The story, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, the gameplay, where it's sort of, it's like real time, but you can slow it down and then you can queue up commands and it goes and executes. Yeah. It's such a fun system, and you've got like these plugins where you can mix and match them. And the Transistor was really good. And Hades was actually on the top 10, and I ended up bumping it for Return of the Obra Dinn, and I'm still in 2 minds about it.
I need to play Hades. I really need
Hades is like, Hades is running really close to that overhype line threshold. You know, when you just hear so often, this game's great, watch this film, it's so good. It's so there's always like a psychological point where you go, no. You
just don't
like
good era.
Weird reaction to it where you go, no. Like, stop going on about it. But yeah, I bought it, and I'm not huge on roguelikes a lot of the time. Because the idea that, you know, you get sent back to the start and you lose everything, it's like, oh god, I'm not sure how I feel about that. This just does it so well. It's the way the story is, it's built with it in mind that you're going to fail a lot. And every time you go back, you can talk to the characters. They've always got something new to say, and it's like the sort of, I don't know, like metatext. What I took out of it is a game about success through failing a lot. It's about being help. Like how you need help from people to get where you want to get to, because on each run you get help from the gods of Olympus. So you play as the son of Hades, and you want to get out of hell. You want to get straight out of hell. Everything in hell's trying to stop you from escaping. And the gods of Olympus know you want to escape, and they try and help you. So they give you like power-ups and like they call boons, and they're basically like permanent like upgrades to your character. So they might give you a weapon, like a special ability, or like one of the best ones, especially early on, is like you have a dash move, and you can have like invincibility on it, like a reflect mechanic, and that'll save your ass so many times early on, because to stop you getting hit by things that would normally hit you. So you go through and you go into the first area, and like you might die a couple of times, but then you get to like the boss. But you get to the boss, you just scrape by just enough to get to the boss, and then you get wrecked by the boss, and you're like, oh god, I'll do it all again. And then you start playing the boss more, and then you kind of get used to it, and then you beat the boss. And it's like, this boss felt impossible the first time I tried to fight it, and now I've beaten her, and now I'm into the second area, and then you're like, oh, this first boss is trivial now. I can do it every time, but I'm struggling on this second area, the second boss, and then you beat them, and then they've become trivial, and it's the next challenge that you're struggling on, and as you go along, all the way to the final boss, it's this process of you feeling like it's almost impossible to make any progress, and this is as far as you can go.
Mhm.
But through essentially mostly just learning about how the game works, you do earn like a currency which you can spend. This is a mirror which can give you like power-ups. You can have more life, you can have like continues effectively, so you do get more powerful. But a lot of it basically comes down to you persevering and learning how the attacks work and how the weapons work, because you got like 6 weapons, they'll work differently. You figure out what you can do with them, and finding combinations with because all these I think it's about 7 or 8 gods from Olympus, and like some of them work really well together. Once you figure out a good combo, it's like, oh yeah, I can get this one. And you just like, it's just like a testament to perseverance and learning, and not taking failure as a sign of like you should stop. It's just another thing, like what can I take from that failure and use that in my next attempt.
It's only on PC though, isn't it?
It's on Switch as well, and I think every other Super Giant game is on like PS4, so I won't be surprised if it shows up eventually.
I need to play it. Yeah, I really like Bastion. Was great. Really like Bastion.
I still haven't played Pyre. I want to get around to that. So I've not played Pyre, Pyre. It was the one between Transistor and Hades. I think it's meant to be like more of like a story-based team RPG.
Okay.
It basically sounds like something I would fucking love, but for whatever reason, I've just never like bit the bullet on it.
Yeah, that one passed me by actually.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that one kind of slipped on the radar. I don't know if it came out at a weird time or if it got like buried by another game.
I think it may have done. Yeah. August 3rd on Mac, July 25th on. Yeah, I don't know. I must have been in the throes of making my monitor game at the time. So
which year did it come out?
2017. So I was a very busy bee that year.
Yeah, I don't quite remember. But anyway, Hades made me a believer in like the roguelike, and there's just so much story to it. Even though it's like you can complete it in like, I say like half an hour. You can do like a successful run, but I played like 50 hours of it.
Right. Okay.
It's honestly, it's just so good, and I want to recommend it without adding to someone's thing where like if someone's listening to this going like, oh my god, someone else fucking going on about Hades, shut up about Hades. I don't want to add to that feeling, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think because it was on the Game Awards and shit, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think the only reason it didn't hit my top 10 was because I was a bit worried about recency bias. So I played it very recently, and I didn't. You know, when something's like brand new and it's in your head, it kind of like has like a more importance, and then over time you might go, actually, maybe it won't make the top 10 now.
Yeah.